In Cape Town, a city where the lush beauty of Table Mountain is shrouded by the chaos of urban life, there lies a world few dare to enter. A world where violence and fear are the currency of power. Beneath the vibrant colors and the warmth of this mother city, an insidious undercurrent of crime and corruption pulses, unseen by the unknowing eye. It is a city of contrasts, where the majestic landscapes mirror the savage battleground of the criminal underworld. And at the center of this blood-stained web stands one name: Nafiz Modack. Modack's name, whispered in the dark corners of the city, holds a weight that stretches far beyond just a mere reputation. It's a name that strikes terror into those who cross him, a name feared by those who owe him their livelihoods and their lives. His rise to power is a chilling tale of ambition, violence, and an unyielding thirst for control. In this first chapter of the Cape Town gang wars, we peel back the layers of Modack's empire, from his modest beginnings to his climb to infamy, shedding light on the ruthlessness and cunning that have defined his reign over the city's underworld. A dark beginning, the rise of a kingpin. It wasn't always this way. Nafiz Modack in the early days was just another name in the crowd. He wasn't born into power, nor was he initially feared by the masses. His ambition, however, set him apart. In 2017, he emerged from the shadows, a man on a mission to claim his space in the criminal world. Modack quickly showed his peers that he wasn't just another small-time player. His rise was fast and ruthless, his ability to exploit the vulnerabilities of the people around him becoming his weapon of choice. Cape Town's nightlife was where Modack first found his footing. The nightclubs, chaotic and alive with music and illicit substances, provided the perfect environment for him to master the art of control. Here, among the beats and the deals, he learned that power wasn't just about muscle, it was about fear, manipulation, and maintaining control. Starting as a bouncer in a local club, Modack quickly understood the subtle dynamics of power at play. In this world, a bouncer was more than just a gatekeeper. He was a guardian of order, a figure who held the power to shape the very air of the place. Modack didn't just keep the peace, he enforced it through intimidation, carving out his space in a world where every handshake could be a threat and every deal a power play. In 2013, Randolph Gorberg opened the Beer House on Long Street, a hotspot for Cape Town's nightlife. But the freedom that came with opening a new business was short-lived. 3 days after opening, Gorberg was approached with a proposal, protection, an offer that came with a price. When Gorberg refused, the underworld made its presence known. It wasn't long before the threats began, escalating to violence. A bouncer, Congolese immigrant Kanona, was killed. A clear message to anyone thinking of resisting the growing influence of Modack's syndicate. After Kanona's death, Gorberg, now desperate, paid the protection fee. This was the beginning of Modack's stranglehold over Cape Town's business landscape. But the man who now controlled the streets of Cape Town wasn't just a thug in the shadows. He was a master manipulator, one who understood the systems of power and how to navigate them with deadly precision. A legal battle, a failed assassination, and a deepening web of corruption. As Modack's power grew, so did his enemies. His rise to prominence didn't just stir the streets, it caught the attention of law enforcement. In 2020, a legal battle erupted, one that would bring Modack into direct conflict with some of South Africa's most influential figures. His lawyer, William Booth, was a man known for his sharp legal mind and his connections to the criminal world. But as Modack's empire expanded, Booth found himself caught between a rock and a hard place, as he was also representing Modack's enemies. In a twist of fate, Booth became the target of an assassination attempt. On April 9, 2020, as he left his home, gunfire rang out. But Booth, defying the odds, managed to escape, though he was left shaken and traumatized by the event. The police investigation quickly pointed to Modack as the mastermind behind the attack. It was a clear message to anyone who dared to cross him. Those who stood in his way would pay. But this was just the beginning. Modack had bought influence not only in the streets, but also within the very institutions meant to protect the public. In a chilling revelation, it was discovered that Modack had managed to infiltrate the police force, with several high-ranking officers allegedly on his payroll. One such officer, Charles Keir, became a target of Modack's wrath. In 2020, Keir was murdered in what appeared to be a calculated hit. The investigation into his death revealed the extent of Modack's corruption, his ability to manipulate and control the very forces meant to bring him down. The web, Titans, betrayals, assassinations, and dirty money. Modack's criminal network was not just built on violence, it was also built on money. A significant amount of his power came from his ability to launder money and extort businesses into submission. One of the most significant aspects of his criminal empire was his involvement in luxury car dealerships, where Modack orchestrated extortion schemes that left businesses reeling. On February 17, 2021, at a luxury car dealership, 3 men entered and demanded 2 vehicles. When their demands were not met, they turned violent, damaging the property and threatening to destroy the business. This was not an isolated incident. As investigations unfolded, evidence emerged showing that Modack had extorted millions from businesses across Cape Town. His reach extended beyond the criminal world into the legitimate business sectors, where he used his power to launder money through shell companies and offshore accounts. In one of the most significant trials against Modack, testimony revealed how a staggering 23.5 million rand had been funneled into a complex web of money laundering operations. Legitimate business transactions were twisted into tools for hiding illicit funds. Companies that appeared to deal in luxury goods were, in fact, serving as fronts for Modack's criminal dealings. As the investigation deepened, the full extent of Modack's operations began to surface, painting a picture of a man who was not just a criminal, but a mastermind, a puppeteer pulling the strings of a dark and dangerous empire. The rise and fall, a community divided. But even a man like Modack wasn't beyond the reach of fate. As his empire grew, so did the opposition. Yet for all his ruthlessness, Modack maintained a strange grip on the people of Cape Town. His Facebook page, a curious mix of charity work and public relations, painted him as a figure who cared about his community. He partnered with religious leaders and charitable organizations, portraying himself as a benefactor to the downtrodden. In the streets of Cape Town, some saw him as a modern-day Robin Hood, a man who had risen from nothing to become a protector of his community. But for others, this image was nothing more than a facade, an act to hide the darkness that lurked behind the scenes. As the trial against Modack continues, Cape Town finds itself at a crossroads. The city, divided between those who see him as a criminal mastermind and those who view him as a necessary evil, remains in the grip of his power. Whether justice will prevail or whether the criminal networks that supported him will continue to hold sway remains to be seen. Nafiz Modack's journey from obscurity to infamy is a testament to the dark allure of power, a chilling reminder of the lengths some will go to achieve control. His story is far from over, and the streets of Cape Town are far from safe. As the battle for the soul of the city continues, one thing is certain: Nafiz Modack's name will echo in the shadows for years to come. As Modack's trial unfolds, the revelations about his criminal empire continue to shock even the most seasoned law enforcement officials. New witnesses come forward, and each testimony peels back yet another layer of his operations. The full scale of his influence, spanning from petty extortion to high-level corruption, becomes clearer with each passing day. His network is vast, extending its tendrils into various sectors, from local businesses to global money laundering schemes. It's a terrifying reminder of how deeply organized crime can root itself within the fabric of society, corrupting not only the streets, but the institutions meant to protect the people. Despite the growing evidence against him, Modack's supporters continue to rally around him. His community outreach efforts, though seen by some as nothing more than a smokescreen, have cultivated a loyal following. For the impoverished and marginalized, Modack is a symbol of power and protection in a world that has long ignored them. His story, filled with betrayal and bloodshed, is intertwined with the story of Cape Town itself, a city struggling to reconcile its beauty with its brutal reality. For many, the line between hero and villain is blurred, and they stand behind him not because they condone his actions, but because they see him as a man who, against all odds, made it to the top.